Coming to Rwanda to track and spend time with mountain gorillas is high up on many people's bucket lists, and rightly so. It really is an amazing experience. In today's podcast, I chat to Greg Campher, one of the founders of Sambora Kinigi, located on the foothills of the Virunga volcanoes, is the perfect base from which to head out to look for the mountain gorillas. Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Stanley Safaris Podcast, where we chat to the owners of the camps, lodges, and hotels that we love to send our guests to. My name is Sean Stanley, the founder of Stanley Safaris, and today I'm very excited to be chatting to Greg Campher from Sambora in Rwanda. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
So you are currently sitting in a very cold, rainy UK. But you own a lovely lodge in Rwanda. How did that happen? How did you end up getting involved in Africa and in particular in Rwanda?
Well, okay, so long story short, as they say. So my background is actually coffee. I've been in coffee since about 2008, 2009. We were in the country setting up a coffee project for a group called the Aegis Trust. And the Aegis Trust are the guys that set up and helped set up the Kigali Genocide Memorial with the Rwandan government. And that project has been hugely successful. And when we were setting up a project in Muyumbu, in the east of the country, that would help support some of the work that they do in introducing their teachings and learnings into the rural communities, which they've got an amazing network into doctors, teachers, etc. Within the space is very particularly peace and values education, which in a country like Rwanda is very, very important. And I couldn't believe that there were people in the world that did amazing work like that. So we wanted to support, and so we set up that project. And while we were there, a wonderful man called Sambora, who is now my business partner, got a call, and we were asked to go and have a look at a lodge. And we sat down and we said to ourselves, okay, well, if this lodge became a reality, what would it look like? And we wanted to create something that was very circular, bought fruit and veg from all of the community around the lodge, and really was within that same vein of ensuring that we're setting up structure and giving back and all of those things. We had no background, certainly I had no background in lodges whatsoever, but from a bit of a hospitality background, coffee, etc. Sam had run eco lodges for Aegis previously, again within that vein, and I think that's why that question was originally asked. But we built what we felt was a really strong offering, and that first lodge didn't happen. The folks who had asked that question saw the plan, loved it, and decided to give it a go themselves.
And so they took your idea and.
Well, I guess they applied some thinking, and they have a lovely spot. It's beautiful, and they did very well. But we, having done that work, really felt like we wanted to go and find something else. So Sam had been in country for 15, 16 years already, having been working with Aegis, and so went out to his network and said, okay, what is there out there? And we were very, very lucky through an old contact of his who runs some really nice projects up in Kinigi, where we are actually, put us in touch with the owner of a lodge. He just built it. You could see that the bare bones were there, and that there was something we could really apply, something pretty cool to it. And at the same time, I'd been to a couple of Michelin star restaurant with rooms kind of set up here in the UK, and that was, I guess, the real inspiration for me to take something of that level, where you walk in and you feel so welcome, and there's quality and little touches throughout everything, and that was the essence that we wanted to bring and apply to this lodge, which at the time only had 4 rooms, and we decided that we were going to give it a go, and it was going to be a side project. Well, Today we are we are currently 7 rooms, and by the end of April we'll be 9 rooms. And it is my full-time job, especially this time of year as well. Everyone's booking through January and February. That really is the crush.
Correct.
And yeah, so we got stuck into it, and we very quickly realized just how special that part of the world is. Kinigi as a place is, the whole world comes to Kinigi. In some ways, it's it's this bubble, and you're surrounded by 5 volcanoes, and the whole world comes to it in order to go and fulfill a bucket list thing of going to go and trek with gorillas, which is incredible. And the work that has been done up there over the last 50 years since Dian Fossey has been nothing short of miraculous, and definitely one of the most challenging environments in terms of the agriculture went right up to the boundary of Volcanoes National Park and pushed it right back. It took a lot of territory away, and now that project of saving the mountain gorillas has been so successful that now they require an expansion of the park. And so we find ourselves up there at a time where a lot of amazing work has been done well in advance of us, but we certainly have plugged in to the work that's being done and continue to support now in what it could be and is a difficult time where the park needs to expand, and there's projects being set up in order to help and support the communities there as they exit that very subsistence type living. It's not really a lifestyle. It's folks up there still literally just grow what they need. And so how do we support the youngsters who are coming through? A lot of them go to junior school, but they don't go to senior school. All the usual kind of challenges when you work in very rural areas. The one thing I would say, though, is that Rwanda has come an awful long way in 30 years. It is amazing what they've managed to do. And you have a town called Musanze, very close to Kinigi, that is growing at an exceptionally quick rate. It's the second major city in Rwanda. And so the opportunities really are opening up. And we're seeing a lot of great projects, supporting a lot of great projects as well, and continue to try and identify the things that will make the real difference. And we're very lucky. So that's how we find ourselves in that position. And then it's been 2.5, 3 years of a whirlwind time. So
so you've achieved quite a lot in a short space of time. Rwanda is a very popular destination because of the gorillas. But prior to your trip to Rwanda back in the day, when you were looking at the coffee project, had you been on safari before? Had you been to Africa before that?
Yeah, so I actually grew up in Johannesburg, and my family have always done safari, and my dad used to take us out to Kruger, Thorny Bush, places like that. So there was an inherent love, and my dream retirement position at one day was always going to be, let's have a safari lodge, and that will do me. I'm just lucky enough to have had that happen 20 years earlier than I expected it, which is a lovely thing. It has been a whirlwind. Rwanda, I hadn't really done a lot with Rwanda. Love the coffee. The coffee is unbelievable, and just a magnificent country, green and stunning, very large parts unspoiled. It instills a feeling in you when you drive around that country and the mist is sitting over the water and in the valleys. It's pretty special. And it's also, we find, so convenient because it's so small. You pretty much drive 4 or 5 hours in any direction, and you get to a border. So it's cool in that respect because you can jump on the roads. The roads are really good. Cycling's massive in Rwanda. The roads are that good that there is a lot of cycling. You can just go from Big Five Safari in the east of the country, which is It's a kind of a mix. It's probably the closest safari style for me is it's a little bit like Zambia in the fact that there's lots of water and there's bush, and you've got two very separate kind of safari experiences. But the guys up in Magashi have done a really great job up there, and Africa Parks have done a superb job in terms of returning that to what it is today. And we were there in October. I was pretty impressed with that. I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was. So you know, it was fantastic. And then down to the southwest of the country, you have chimpanzees in Nyungwe, magnificent old ancient forest with waterfalls and another special part of the world. And the RDB, the Rwandan Development Board, and Africa Parks have been doing a lot of work in terms of you know, making it more accessible and more enjoyable for folks who head down there. There's not just chimpanzees. There's now a kilometer-long zip lining series that you can go and do, and canopy walks. There's some cool stuff up down there. And then you've got Lake Kivu, magnificent, beautiful, huge body of water, and great for leisure. And then up to Volcanoes, where you have golden monkeys, which everyone should see. They're a lot of fun, really beautiful to photograph. And the gorillas, and that's before you get into all of the other lakes that are all incredibly different. And so there's a lot to see in that country. And Kigali itself, vibrant, young, really up and coming, incredibly clean.
Food scene there. I think Kigali was included in the top 10 up and coming food destinations worldwide.
Absolutely. Huge movement for foodies. There's some very, very talented folks coming through there. You've got Milonga, you've got Lily's, you've got some really nice authentic venues as well that you can eat, you know, sort of authentic Rwandan food, and at a really good level. And its stuff is constantly popping up as well. Food tours. It's very, very vibrant, and that's hats off to the Rwandan government, who really have, you know, been open arms, embracing the investment, embracing the education. There's some very, very talented kids in that city. So and we have without a doubt benefited enormously from that, because everyone we hire is in Rwanda. That was one of our things, was that we wanted to be a fully fledged Rwandan entity. So we are Rwandan in country. We bank in Rwanda. We have full Rwandan team. That was always the ambition. And when we started, I think we had 6-7 people in lodge. And then when we were there in October, I took a friend of mine out who very kindly helped us with a little bit of investment up front. And so we took him out to say thank you, and it was lovely to sit around a table with 50 people.
Sure.
Yeah. So within 2.5 years, we've gone from 6 to 50, and that's pretty special.
I know that's amazing, and kind of comes into the next question, in the sense of the giving back and the commitment to local conservation and community. And you know, for me, privately owned camps and having local staff employed is important. You know, I think walking into a lodge where the manager is local, the staff are local, just adds that element. And then our guests know that the money they're spending coming and staying with you is staying in the country, and going into those local communities. So that is very important. But talk us through a little bit about your commitment to local community conservation. Aside from employment side, what else are you guys doing on the ground? I mean, obviously you got into it by starting with a project and ending up in Rwanda, but you know, where else are you helping out?
Yeah, so one of the major areas that we work in, all of the furniture is made locally as well, as much as we can possibly get. So we've got a bunch of folks that make doors and beds and all the desks, and pretty much honestly everything that we will have made locally. A lot of the weaving and the basket weaving and whatnot. But when we actually started through a chap called called Greg as well, of the Red Rocks cultural conservation program up there. And Greg has been a long time focused on taking care of community and developing community projects like that. And he was the guy that introduced us to the original owner of the lodge. And he has a program up there where they do all sorts of cultural conservation. So dancing, the drumming, the banana beer making, weaving, just basically if you anything up there, Greg has probably started the initiative in that regard. And so we support most of the projects we support through an already inbuilt portion within the rates that we charge. So when folks come and stay with us, they go to Dian Fossey and we'll pick up that cost. They'll go to Red Rocks, we pick up that cost. Go to Handspun Hope, which is this magnificent, beautiful project, supporting women within the community that have been affected by genocide, but also domestic abuse and those difficulties that we do find in rural areas where sometimes there is alcohol and other issues. It's not easy always, but they have produced a project there which is just honestly world beating. And they make and they dye all of their own wool, and then they make the most beautiful little felt toys and garments up there. And that was when I first saw that, when we first went up, that was a real eye opener. Apologies, I have a parrot in the corner. I was not expecting him to make any noise.
Barely hear.
The wife saved him when he was a baby. That thread runs through everything that we do to make sure that there is a good chunk of money going back, and we're looking to do more all the time. So we've recently, specifically about the expansion of the park, they are looking for specific projects and upskilling, and we're looking at how I can't give too much information because we're working on it at the minute and trying to pull together various organizations, but to upskill a jewelry making community business effectively, where jewelry will be made out of materials that are found and are very, very linked to what we do. So we've seen things like snares and whatnot be pulled out of parks, and there are large chunks of snares sitting around that need to be utilized, that could be utilized really well. And so we're looking at projects like that, and other projects like farming projects, where we can help and make sure that the produce that is grown in its entirety comes through the lodge as well. So we don't adhere to the grow everything ourselves scenario where we close that loop. We don't want that to be the case. So when we set up our garden that's on site just to the north of our property, we actually brought the community in to come and grow that fruit and veg for us. We pay some folks, and we gave some folks effectively a job by doing that, and then we purchased that fruit and veg from them, again to try and make sure that the monies are going back to community. And one of the reasons why we had to do that is because there are requirements for certain numbers in Rwanda, tax, etc. That means that unless basically all of the fruit and veg needs to be sold into a wholesaler and then you can buy it, but of course there's then middlemen and prices are low, etc. So in order to sort of bypass that, there are ways that we can do that in a legally acceptable way, but still support the community. And it's a small thing. We are a small lodge in a place where there are a handful of small, very, very good lodges. So we do what we can there. But I think the greatest impact is really through the team and the ongoing internships that we have, and supporting the local schools. So we've been asked to build things like, or sort of help support build a basketball court, which we can't wait to do. But we're trying to find someone who knows what they're doing in order to build a basketball court, particularly up there. the whole area is covered in lava flows, and so the rock, to break it out, is incredibly challenging and difficult to do any of that work. So yeah, that's an ongoing thing. But we I guess we listen to the community, we talk with them, we understand what it is, what's important to them, and trying to actually do things that are going to sustain long term and be helpful for them, rather than something token that doesn't really stick for long term. We don't want to be about that. We want to be.
It's not about the handouts. It's working together, and
absolutely
amazing. And you were talking earlier about the likes of Akagera and Nyongwe and the park expansion. Is that being funded through the $1,500 gorilla permit? Is that money that guests are paying? Is that going into these broader conservation projects around the country?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. There is the largest chunk that goes back into, as part of the 1.5, you've got a 5% that goes through to folks where if crops are damaged and things are damaged in and around the parks, those folks are compensated, and that helps, just ensure that there's not the aggression towards the wildlife, and that actually it's more sustainable. There's then a further 10% that goes into the community as a standard, just for community projects. But that park expansion is going to be a partnership agreement between a very large organization, and again, we have a small insight, but it's not been publicly released yet. But my understanding, a large US philanthropic group coming in to help expand that park in conjunction with the Rwandan government, and it's costing millions of dollars to do that, because the movement of folks off their land is being done in the right way. They're being paid properly for that land, and new opportunities being carved out for them, new accommodations as well. So that challenge definitely comes with challenges, and as a community of lodges and organizations, we all have a part to play within that. But I think the one thing Rwanda's not shy on is that transparency, so that kind of information is available. They do very well. There's 112 or so permits a day, and every day through June, July, August, September, and probably October now this year for sure, there probably won't be any permits left. So it is a huge success in that regard. Could we be doing more? I think we could always be doing more. Certainly considering the kind of rates that are charged up there, and we're very conscious of that. So we try and make sure that there's good balance and good give back. But also you're in a part of the world which is quite difficult to operate in. So there are costs that come along with that too. So it's understandable, but yeah, we try and make sure that when we sit with ourselves and we review these things and understand the goings on, that there's good alignment for sure. So yeah.
Okay, perfect. And we're finding a lot more guests wanting to spend more time in places rather than jumping around so much. But I think there's quite a misconception. People coming into Rwanda, seeing the gorillas, doing 2, maybe 3 nights if they're going to track twice, and then moving on somewhere else. What should guests be doing when they're coming through to stay with you? Is 3 nights enough? Should they be doing 4 nights? Should they be doing 2 gorillas, golden monkeys, and everything else that is there to see in and around what you guys are doing?
Yeah, I mean, I personally, having done it a lot, Rwanda is a place that it's actually worth just sitting quietly in from time to time. I know a lot of folks we get, and they want to be busy and they want to be doing things, and there's plenty of things to be doing. So we've got things like canoeing on one of the local rivers, which surprisingly, gets probably some of the most mentions from guests. Really weren't expecting it, loved it, and you're surrounding yourself in real rural Rwanda, and all the sights and sounds. It's a lovely thing, and the bird life in that part of the world is absolutely spectacular.
Yeah.
So you can canoe both on rivers or on Lake Rohondo, for example. And Lake Rohondo, of a morning or of an evening, is probably one of the most beautiful places I've ever been in my life.
Sure.
And I'd be lucky enough to see quite a few really special places, but that really is a special place. And yeah, like the bird life is incredible. So we have a resident bird guide called Danny, and so he'll take folks out if they want to go and experience that. But there's also, if you think about it, we've got 5 volcanoes around us. Karisimbi is pretty big. It's a two-day climb. They do it, so you stay up there, and that's the only time you'll stay in the park overnight. Will be Karisimbi. But there's also Bisoki, which has a beautiful crater lake on top. Not an easy climb in the wet season. I did not make it the first time I tried, because it was very muddy. And I mean, Jurassic Park levels muddy trying to climb that one. So don't do that in March and April. So if you like your hiking, you like climbing, it's a wonderful place to be. But then you've also got the golden monkeys, and of course the thing that we sort of shouldn't forget, and I actually think one of the reasons why I'm in the project that I'm in here is my grandmother absolutely loved Dian Fossey and Gorillas in the Mist, and we were brought up with that, as kids, and subconsciously I'm sure that I ended up in that part of the world probably because of that being instilled early doors. But you can go and understand that whole story and all of that emotion that comes with that, and go and see and visit her grave and Digit's grave, and all that sort of thing. So there are lots of folks that come to do that too. And then all of these projects, honestly, connecting with the folks in and around Kinigi in these community projects is something really very special. And the Rwandan people are so warm and so fun. They have a really, really fun sense of humor. And it's just wonderful. So I would recommend it. More of the circuit for sure. Being able to see chimpanzees and gorillas in one trip, pretty cool. And you get to drive through some of the most magnificent countryside you're probably likely to ever see. So I'd strongly recommend it, rather than just the fly in, fly out, which, to be fair, is about 80% of our business. Folks come in from Serengeti, Masai, or on the way back from Zambia, and so it is an easy tag on, particularly because it's only 2.5 hours from Kigali. And I think that's kind of, people often ask me the difference between Rwanda and Uganda. Uganda, amazing, but Rwanda just very convenient. Really, in the grand scheme of things, a little bit more expensive in terms of gorilla permit, but otherwise that's kind of your larger trade-off. So I think being able to dwell, spend some time, go and stay at the retreat, Hemingway's retreat in Kigali. It's a lovely place to start your trip. It feels beautiful on a warm Kigali night, and then head up to Volcanoes, where it's a lot more sort of alpine in its feel. It's a bit surreal, that, but well worth spending that time. It's definitely got that wellness feel to it. Come and sit in some warm water, have a massage, do all of that. It's really good for the soul.
It sounds it. It's I've been up there a few times, and it is really beautiful. It's peaceful. Like you say, you're at a higher altitude, so the temperature is nice. It's a cool temperature, and there is so much to do. So we try and encourage our guests to spend a bit more time. Encourage them to do the 2 gorilla treks. That the first one goes by very quickly. I remember the first time I saw the gorillas. Before I knew it, the guide's tapping you on the shoulder, and it's like you're 1 hour's up and you're out of there. Whereas the second time, you tend to appreciate it a bit more, engage a bit more with the gorillas, and put your phone and camera down and actually just take it all in.
I think you're onto something really important there, actually, and it's worth folks really understanding and knowing this. is that when you first, a lot of folks, I don't say everybody, but a lot of folks feel quite apprehensive when they go up there because they don't really understand or know exactly what to expect. And by and large, 99% of the time, the gorillas are so relaxed, and they're very, very gentle, and they're not bothered about you in the slightest. And folks really sort of hang back and have this tension and concern that when that goes away, and you go for that second trek, I think it's a total game changer, to be honest with you. And you will never see the same thing twice. The vegetation is often very, very different depending on where you're launching off into the park, and so your surroundings are very different. You might have to work a little harder one of the days to get up there, but it is so fantastically worth it. And we've had lots of guests say, "Thank heavens we went on that second trek, because it was amazing. Like something incredible happened. Like a little baby was kind of bombing around or swinging from a vine or something that they just otherwise wouldn't have seen." So pretty good shout that for my money as well. I think it's well worth that second trek.
I mean, people are coming a long way to come to Africa and see these amazing animals that it's definitely worth having that extra day and just go and do it, and then do an extra day just to relax and enjoy the area you're in. So there you go. There's your 4 nights done.
Absolutely. And we can find you more. We've had folks stay 6 or 7.
Sure.
We had a chap that wanted to climb every volcano. no problem. not my cup of tea, but we're happy to support.
Did he make it?
He was really fit guy. He just he could do it. But the other thing as well is grab a porter on the day that you go trekking. Create that little bit of extra employment that day, so the porters rotate. So if a porter gets the chance to take care of guests for a day, then he goes home the next day, and the next guys get a chance. It's a nice system. They're all in training from the local community, and they will often, and in my case as well, make sure you get to the top of that mountain. They are that arm, and they point out all the flora and fauna and interesting things, and so really super people. You won't regret that.
No, then that's a really good shot. Helping the local community, but a lot of people don't realize that the gorillas don't stick to pathways. They go through the bush, and so you have to go after them, and having that person there to help you get over logs and under bushes and all that sort of stuff is well worth it. So it's a good shot, that one.
Yeah, well worth it. You don't quite know what you're going into. It's not. I think that sometimes there are folks who are concerned it's going to be very, very arduous, very hard work. And I think if they have medical constraints and whatnot, the park will really do all they can to put you into a group with people of a similar
fitness level and that,
fitness level, and so it's a little easier. There definitely are some easier treks. We do have to make that requests, especially for folks. So don't be shy to ask that if it is a concern. But generally, those porters, if there is a little bit of a difficulty, they will make sure that you are okay, and that's a lovely thing to just know that you've got a safety net there, just in case. So
So talk us through the process then with the gorillas, so people understand how it works. This gorilla trekking. Obviously we buy the permit up front when guests book. There's 8 people in a group, 8 tourists per group. But what does the day look like from the time they get up? What time are they getting up, and how does all that look?
Yeah, this is a really actually good question, because I spend most of my days writing this out. I should really put it into some kind of PDF or something. So you'll rise quite early. You've got to be at Volcanoes National Park HQ latest 7 a.m. and most driver guides will make sure that you get there for 6:45. So you're at breakfast at 6 and have something quick and whatnot, and then jump in the car and head out there. They've got great coffee at HQ, made by
Supplied by you guys.
No, sadly not. but credit where credit's due.
Working, yeah.
Yeah, there's Question Coffee in Kigali are super. Shout out to those guys. And they make a really good cup of coffee. So you can have a flat white or a cappuccino or a filter coffee as well.
Things have changed since I was there. It was a flask and hot water, and that was it. Nothing more.
Yeah. No, they've really raised the game. And it's nice to be able to sit around. And some folks are very chatty, and you can meet some pretty incredible people. You know, you've got people from all over the world up there, and then you'll be taken off into your groups, and a safety briefing will be given by your guide for the day. So depending on which group you've been put in, and then at that point, and this is an important point, is you do require a driver up there for a couple of reasons. Because you don't leave from Volcanoes National Park HQ. You have to go off to a launch-off point, and that launch-off point will basically depend on where the gorillas are that morning. So they have trackers up there with the guys overnight, so they know where they are. But then obviously you need to go and leave and go and see them. And so everyone's allocated a gorilla family to go and trek that day. And so you go and jump in the car and off you go, and that could be up to an hour away. So it's important to just have that. You know, if you're going on to Karisimbi side, then you could be up to an hour away. So important that you have your driver guide. And then it's also really important for me, from just a risk perspective, we ask that driver guides stay at the launch off point, just in case someone takes a fall or hurts themselves or something. You've got wheels, you've got someone to help out if the worst should happen. We've never had that happen, but it's just sensible. So they wait for them, and you'll be trekking for between 3 and 6 hours comfortably. We've had a little bit longer sometimes if some folks, if the gorillas are moving away from you uphill, up Karisimbi. That's quite a climb. You've got to work a little harder. I mean, you're probably not getting that group unless you've asked for a more difficult climb. In honesty, we did last time, and we definitely earned our moment.
You worked for it.
100%. We really did. But it was so satisfying when we got there. So you spend, having got to the gorillas, you'll spend an hour with them. Masks will go on, and you really will be guided by your guides, and the people around you will make sure that you are at a respectful distance. And it's not just respectful; it's also for their safety as much as our safety as well. And so those rules are there. And you might be surrounded in bamboo. You might be surrounded in other flora. There are some stinging nettles up there. Certainly more at a lower lying rate, and so we'll provide gloves for folks as well. Long sleeves are recommended. Waterproof trousers are definitely recommended, because when you get a chance to just sit with a gorilla, you want to just sit with them and just
down
you can hear all the sounds and just watch as they kind of play around you. It's a wonderful thing. You don't want to have to be sort of standing and uncomfortable through that period. And then you make your way down. Once you've had your hour, the guys will come and just let you know we're going to be heading off soon, and you head back down. We as a lodge will send you with a packed lunch and water and all the things that you need. And so again, another reason to have a porter just help carry that bag and the water and whatnot. So you'll probably get back likely 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, which unfortunately often is a little bit late to go and do a lot of the community projects. Some of the community projects might be on the way home, in which case, by all means, jump in, go and see some of the basket weaving and other things. But Handspun Hope, for example, is a longer tour. It's about an hour and a half, and so you're probably not going to want to go from gorilla trekking directly there. I mean, you can do, but it's we find a lot of folks prefer to get back and have their complimentary massage, or go down to Virunga Mountain Spirits, which is a new project opened by Bill and Karen. Great project where they're producing things there with the local community, and you can have a tour or have a drink. whatever you fancy doing, or head to Rwanda and go and have a sundown as we're standing over this magnificent lake as the sun goes down, having a drink. That's would be what I would do.
Sounds like what I would do as well,
highlight.
especially after an amazing time with the gorillas. It's a good way to end the day and celebrate.
Yeah, it's pretty special, and you really do feel that elation when you come back down, because it's a special thing, and especially a shared thing as well when you've got people around you that you can even our staff are so interested to hear what's happened that day. They want to hear about it, and that was when we first started our project, was something that I put a lot of value on, and so that we have a shared dining space where folks can come back and sit around a table, or we start the day with sort of gin and tonic at about 6:30, something like that, just to break the ice and having a little aperitif after everyone's got back, had a shower, and had a chance to relax a little bit. But then sit around the dinner table, and you've got folks who have been trekking that day saying how incredible it was, and then you've got folks who have just landed in lodge and are super excited about tomorrow, and they can share all that experience and enthusiasm. And I think that creates a position of real magic, actually, within our lodge. So we are unashamedly, it's quite deliberate in that regard. It's crafted so that people can connect and really get excited about what they've done and what they're going to do. So yeah.
No, that's cool. I mean, a safari in general is quite a social experience. If you're on a game drive, you're on a vehicle with 6 people, and you're all sharing these incredible experiences and moments, and coming back and sitting around the campfire, having your gin and tonic or a glass of wine, and excited about what you've seen. So it's nice that you've taken that concept and moved it into what you're doing there. With the gorillas, I'm sure, because it's almost individual couples that are going off and tracking, you're not necessarily, or everyone staying at your lodge is going to go and track together. And so you're coming back and you're sharing these amazing stories. So I like that communal aspect of it. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and you're right. Most people that come to Rwanda have a private driver guide with car and whatnot. That is the accepted way, which is different to most safari in the rest of Africa. But that chance to get to know your driver guide, again, that's also a massive highlight for folks, to have a driver guide who takes them around country and tells them about all the stories and the way that life has been is in Rwanda, all of the conservation efforts. Folks really love that. They always write to me about the amazing driver guides that we work with, and then to get back and to share those stories. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool thing to be able to deliver. Yeah. But that's why we're actually so lucky, is that we have this wonderful lodge in a place where the world comes to do these incredible things, and I think people just feel so grateful to have the experience and be up there and experience it. It really is the best job in the world. It's not.
Agreed.
It is by no means a hardship at all. It's wonderful. So
yeah. And any future plans on the horizon?
Yeah, so we are currently we're doing final plans now, just in terms of logistics, but we'll be closing the lodge between March and April to do quite a big uplift and expansion. So we'll be having that 9th room come in, and we have a pool. We've added a pool, and we've added a heated plunge pool to the front of one of the units. We're looking to expand that out a little bit. Some challenges around technology and access to skill and things like that, so that we can deliver that in a consistent way. We're trying to work that out. But so we'll be expanding that, and expanding the dining room, and the existing dining room will be turned into a larger lounge bar area. Again, just to make it more comfortable and to have some breakout spaces. And I think it, for us, will represent a real big step up, which is cool. Yeah. And then, there are conversations in the background around where we go to next. We want to do that as much as anything for our teams, because our teams want to be progressing. They want to be expanding their repertoires, being able to grab those promotions, become managers, and we want that for them as well. It's really important that we have that trajectory for our people. So Akagera's on the cards, Nyongwe's on the cards. The conversations will continue to flow, and we will see where we go. But we also, there's a big amazing continent out there. So hopefully, I'm so sorry about the parrot.
It's okay.
we hopefully will have some interesting opportunities elsewhere, and we're very excited for that. So
amazing. Well, Greg, thank you so much. And as always, thanks for looking after our guests. The feedback from the lodge is amazing. The service, it's not only about the gorillas. There is so much more in Rwanda and in Kinigi where you are. So we will continue to try and encourage our guests to spend more time there, get to experience the area, get to see the wildlife, meet the people. But as always, thank you. Well done. Amazing work you guys are doing out there. And we'll have a beer with you overlooking the volcanoes soon, I'm sure.
Oh, we look forward to it, and thank you too for all your support. We are very grateful, and very much look forward to taking care of folks when they come to see us.
Thanks for joining me and listening to the podcast. In the next episode, I meet Annie Tando, part of the family that owns Omalo in the Laikipia region of northern Kenya.